I'm Jen and welcome to this week's episode of Chronic Cuppa, bringing back the office brew and a moment's mindfulness to your week. So this week I wanted to talk about a C word, not Christmas, but basically about catastrophizing and choices that we make. So this week's Chronic Cuppa mug is actually courtesy of PG Tips. I am having a pretty busy week this week, on top of which I'm also having, unfortunately, a bit of a chronic pain flare-up. So between the sort of extra stress and things going on at work and personally, and a bit more discomfort and disruption to my routine, that's really something that's taking its toll on me, making sure that I'm not sort of having quick impulsive reactions, that I'm not making decisions or doing things that maybe I'm going to regret later on. And at the moment, particularly I think the year that everybody's had, as we're all beginning to really feel like we're actually running on fumes, and probably also reviewing and thinking about changes that we might want to make moving forward, it can be quite challenging for us to look at some of those decisions that we're making diplomatically, neutrally, and really assess those situations, and also particularly be able to balance our heart and our heads. And I know when I'm stressed out as well, I will often catastrophize and overthink every decision I make, or I'll really impulsively snap and make a decision that perhaps is maybe emotionally charged, but maybe isn't necessarily the most best or long-term fitting solution for me. So a technique that really helps to balance the head and the heart is something I recently discovered called the brain technique. So I wanted to share that with you, and hopefully maybe it's something that you can find useful. It's a really flexible, versatile solution, so you can use it for all kinds of different decisions, whether you're thinking about, do I move house, should I apply for a job, should I try a certain or new type of medication, for example. And this is how it works. So, B, what is the benefit to me making this decision? R, what are the risks involved with this particular decision? A, what is an alternative to this decision? So particularly, and I'll use a working example of something like applying for a job. The A is where you can really start to interrogate the motivation behind the decision you're making. So if you're thinking about applying for a job in the context of B, benefits, it might be doing something that you find more rewarding, more financially viable as well, perhaps with a salary increase. What are the risks involved? Maybe you're going to a small startup company, or maybe you're going somewhere where you don't know what the stability is going to be of the company in the current environment. You're worried about things like redundancy, or will you enjoy the job? A is when you really start to prompt an alternative. So why are you looking at that job in the first place? Is it, for example, because you want to increase your income? In which case, what other alternatives are there? Could you ask your current employer for a promotion? Do you have a project or a skill or a side hustle that you could monetize to generate more income? Or is there another organic way that you could look to save more money and reduce your outgoings so that there is less pressure on your current salary? I, what is your instinct telling you to do in this situation? And this is where you can bring some of those emotions a little bit more to the forefront. And then N, what happens if you do absolutely nothing? So if you didn't make that change, you stayed in exactly the situation that you're in today, what would that look like for you in the next week, month, year, for example? So it's a really good technique if you're really struggling to think about the pros and cons, weigh a decision diplomatically, and have a bit more of a bird's eye or holistic view to a really big decision perhaps that you're trying to make. So I hope you find that useful. Maybe you've got something in mind this week, or a question that you've been pondering and you're not quite sure how to assess it, or like me, perhaps you're catastrophizing and really sort of second guessing, are you doing the right thing? This is just a bit of a good sound check for you to actually think about that in a more diplomatic way and hopefully come to a solution that works for you. So I hope you found that helpful, and I hope you have a great week. join me next time on Chronic Cuppa, but in the meantime, let's sink another drink because it'll give me time to think. Bye.